We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order 6:06 p.m. I know Jack just sat down, but we can all please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Lori, if we do a quick roll call.
Thank you. Chair Lawson,
Present.
Vice Chair Barron,
Present.
Lisa Butler, Jacqueline Hunt, Michael Acciardi,
Present.
and our ex officio tonight is Councilor Russ Sheldon.
Present.
Thank you.
Boy, we got a full house tonight. When's the last time we were all together?
It's been a while. It's been a
It's
while.
good to see everyone.
Yeah.
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 All right, first order of business is electing officers. So we need to nominate and elect a chair and a vice chair for each year. I had sent a note to the group regarding my bandwidth and the evenings going forward. However, some further discussion. If we think it would be the best fit for me to continue forward as the chair, we could probably make that happen. It would just be an effort on this group's behalf. At the end of each meeting, essentially establish the agenda for the next meetings.
Make a motion that we end each meeting with an agenda.
And we'll get into that too, not just month to month, but kind of a annual 12-year plan where we kind of want to take it next to
12 years.
12 months.
Wow.
We're committed.
Big
for a
dreams.
long time. These are 12-year terms, right? Runway still can. So I just wanted to preface that discussion with that. But if anyone in the group, would like to nominate themselves or raise their hand at the very least for the chair position or vice chair position, regardless, I think, by all means, we can have that discussion.
Is there consensus to leave Eric Lawson as chair?
I was gonna say, I'll make the motion to have Eric remain as our chair.
That was too quick.
No, you've done a great job. Yeah, you've done a really good job. Like, it's great.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and I'm happy to do it. It's just a matter of I'll probably lean on the group for a bit more support on items that fall in between meetings.
Okay.
I'll still be able to attend meetings and participate, obviously, but just items outside standard working hours. Like the company.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes everyone. And now vice chair.
I've had 2 wonderful years. If anyone else, it requires texting Eric once in a while. Being in a group thread with Bill and Eric. All right.
Would you like to continue?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was actually gonna call you today.
Okay. Okay. All right. Eric, you're going to be vice chair. I second that motion.
I retroactively give the initial motion to nominate Chris Barron as vice chair.
Okay, I second. You can see how horrible we are.
We've been working together for a while now. Have fun.
It's just a little bit more relaxed than some of the others in the city meetings.
Okay, excellent. We have our nominations and elections solidified. All good.
Good.
Okay, Jack, thanks. Next is public comments. Was there any public comments submitted ahead of time?
No, there was not.
Okay, and then I saw there was a new guideline, or maybe not new, but it is now in our.
I add it to every agenda packet just so especially the chair and vice chair are aware of procedures.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Perfect. So just a quick rundown of the guidelines for public comment. Each, at least, on-site public comment would need to fill out a comment card and, return to the city recorder, Lori. And then the committee chair will call their name, come up and speak at the table. Speaker will have 5 minutes. Board members, committee members will give their attention to the speaker. Committee members may ask clarifying questions. And that's it. We plan to present a handout. We provide 8 copies to the city recording district. So if there's any paperwork, materials to reference. Very standard. Any questions on that before we can go? Approval of last month's meeting minutes. We met on January 3rd. Some of the topics we covered included establishing the day, the month, time, and frequency, day of the month, excuse me, of our meetings, and we decided.
Have you got any emails from him?
The first Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Just now realizing the minutes from last month, list Monday, the first Monday at 6 p.m.
Whoops,
We could correct that to Wednesday at 6 p.m.
I do.
Unless we want to change it to Monday.
Nope.
We also discussed the Economic Development Commission bylaws, the draft that Mr. Villery put together and clarified some of the framework and verbiage wording. And we kind of defer, we put out most of the decisions and specific.
That's where he's gonna be trying to
just so we
communicate
get
out.
the full group together. So I'm glad that we could do that. We also talked about having a committee member report out to city council on a quarterly basis. Sorry, it sounds like a Marlboro all day. Feel great. It's a shot. We'll have a representative each quarter to report out, touch base with the city council, and the chair, each chair can decide kind of who gives that report at the specific meeting. We had some discussion around whether it would be an in-person report or if it would be a drafted document that we submit to city council or the vote. We kind of have to do that this evening. We also talked about our new member recruitment goals and methods. We have some new members here this evening that we'll get to in a couple minutes. And then we had some discussion just around some of the ongoing 501c3 creation for the Downtown Association, some of the ongoing topics that we'll touch on those too during our 12-month plan. Any questions or go backs on last month's meeting?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes, noting that the date of our meetings is listed correct. Other than that, anything else?
All those in favor of approving January's meeting minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We have unanimous approval of last month's meeting minutes, January 3rd, 2024. All right, new business. We can get into our applicants for, we have 2 openings for the Economic Development Commission. This evening in person, we have David here and Amy. We have a 3rd applicant, Elise Hannah.
Trying to get on
Okay,
Zoom and I'm working with it.
okay, no. So I wanted to start off, Bill, do you have any suggestions just in terms of, our review process, if there's any framework you would suggest, other than reviewing the applications and asking questions?
Chair Lawson, I think it's really kind of up to this body, kind of understanding what your charge is with your new ordinance, with your permanent committee and the new ordinance that was approved that kind of created the body anew. That ordinance kind of directs you all towards the things you're supposed to work upon for city, community, and economic development, and helping city council with that. So I think it's up to you to kind of decide who sounds like they would be best equipped to help with that mission, that charge. Okay. I think the only thing I would point out that's a little bit different in terms of people who apply is ordinance does, or actually in your bylaws, actually rather that you're considering, your bylaws do put kind of make specific note that having a business owner or business owners on your committee, on your commission, would be of particular value. So that would be kind of the only asterisk to what I had said earlier, I would say.
Has the commission had time to review the three applications?
Yes.
I think, next step, we can, welcome each applicant either online or, to the microphone, and we can ask questions, clarify any information of that nature. Okay. First in our packet is David, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone here. We're not as intimidating as the setup seems.
And
Thank
we all
you,
have
Mr. Chairman and committee members.
First off, thank you for being here this evening. I know a lot of people have a lot going on this time of year, so I'll kind of open it up to the group if there are any specific questions as we review each application and get to know you a little bit more.
All right, hi, I've got a question. So what brought you to Northern Plains Suburbs? What did you want to do to the city?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so let's to answer your question, let me just give a brief background about myself. My name is David Amado. I am married with 3 kids, aged 12, 10, and 8. I have lived in Washington County for the past 6 years. I recently moved to North Plains when my spouse and I bought a property in 3926 of West Yorkshire. I work with Intel Corporation as a module development engineer for the past 6 years, and I hold a PhD in electrical engineering. I also have a business degree in manufacturing, from Penn State University. Recently, while I was reading the local North Plains newspaper, which I did have my water bill, yeah, I think I saw this advert from the commission looking for the volunteers on the EDC. I said to myself, Washington County has done a lot for me. Why not I volunteer to also give back to the community? I think that was the primary motivation for putting in that application. So in short, I applied to community. One, to contribute my knowledge and experience to the work of the committee that the commissioners are doing. Two, by joining the committee, I also learned about how the city council works. So I think those are the prime motivation behind the application.
what's your favorite part of North Plains? And then what's the area of improvement? And it could be centered around economic development or just the resident.
Yeah, I think I like the quietness and, it's like, in between urban and suburban. I like the place in general. Sometimes when I drive through town, I also see that, although it's a nice place, some of the infrastructure also, yeah, it needs some, facilities, right? Yeah, so, as the population grows, there will be the need for the services sector to expand, to keep pace with the development. So I think those are my initial impressions about the place. All in all, I like.
When you think of what the city needs today, what is the one thing that comes to mind is if you were to bring a business here and you had a magic wand, what would be the one business you want to see?
I think what comes to mind quickly will be like a medium-sized shopping mall, right? Yeah, to spare the traffic from here to this other places. Not a very big one. Anything in between, like a medium-sized shopping center. That's what comes to mind. In the mornings, to when I drive the kids to school, sometimes, especially for some of the roads. Some of the roads are very nice and right, especially the one linking to Atipalati Bridge. You have to be very focused with only a thin line dividing the opposing lanes. I thought I think some of these things yeah, because road is also part of it. Those are some key areas that I believe when I get the chance to work in the community, I advocate to see if the region expanded a little bit more in a city community. Because in a little, we may not run into the opposing lane, right? The lane. So,
David, thanks for coming. Is that your daughter with you?
yeah,
She must be very proud of her dad. And thinking about, so I heard that you're really interested in volunteering. I'm thinking about your background. And that you got notice of this committee. I can imagine a lot of places where the city could use a mind like yours on one of the many councils that the city has. What about economic development resonates with you? Part of what I'm hearing almost feels a little bit more like city planning, in thinking about how we're literally planning the city versus developing an economic base. And can you say what attracts you to that calling versus other places where your bright mind might contribute?
Thank you for the question. And to be honest with you, I'm not impressed with all the diverse areas or sessions or portfolios of the commission where or the city where probably my expertise of background. This was the one I saw. With my background, I've traveled quite widely. Born in Ghana, I did my undergraduate studies in Germany, master's in Germany. So I was in Germany. I live in Western Germany for about 3.5, 4 years. I also worked with Vodafone, so I had a chance to live in the UK for a while before immigrating to the US, where I came to do my PhD in the mental. So I've traveled widely. So coupled with my, I believe I'll be able to contribute to the. I think in some way, right? Yeah. So that's the primary.
Any other questions? Ask what questions he has for us. David, what questions do you have for any of us? Anything that you want to ask us before, we broke you into a 12-year term?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, I think the little time I spent here, I really enjoyed the organic, about you, the condition and rest of that. It will be great that I have the opportunity to join towards to contribute towards, yeah, the work.
Well, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe with my join us at the microphone.
Yeah, is the microphone even on? I don't even know.
Maybe.
Yes. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you.
My daughter goes to your business often.
Thank you.
I got my notice today and she was in there today.
You, David, Amy came to RTC as part of the new business owner. So we actually had a chance to talk to her for a different purpose. I was very hot to that.
Non-pro yoga lady. For Amy to see.
Again, as I think about like during your first year of a brand new business, how is it about taking time out for this? I can imagine you don't have your hands full, so this was another like commitment. What about that?
I wear a lot of different hats. I am a super overachiever.
She clearly will not fit in there.
No, so, I was approached, asking if this might be something I was interested in. I think it was because of the fact that I am a business owner, a different perspective, just with being so new, I, was told that, there might be some good information or good, what do you want to call it, a different perspective, I guess, from that area. And it sounded interesting, because, and I don't know what all of you do with your day job. I know what a few of you do with your day job, but, I don't believe there's any brand business owners that are able to then give, their outlook on the development, of what's going on in the city, from, perspective that I can work from. So, I think that's been an output. Like how it would be a really cool thing to look at as Plains grows. It's always been interesting to see what's coming in. The play place was fantastic. A compliment to us, which we had no idea was even going in when we opened, stuff like that. So that's why I'm interested. Why, so the application sent it in. There was, it took me a minute to really think about it, because I do wear so many hats. But again, super achiever. This is fun. So.
I think it would be an interesting dynamic, having you on the commission in terms of, we'd be able to get pretty direct feedback, and that was one of our goals, is be more engaged with current business owners, hearing feedback, and then also being able to implement things that would help you as a business owner, as well as the economic development as a whole. So pretty direct feedback as well as action based on that feedback is something that I know this group is trying to do more of.
All right, this may be a tough one off the top of your head, but as a new business owner, do you think of anything immediately you would want to see that you see help with for current business?
not as a whole, I guess. I can't say as a whole what I would like to see. I mean, as a business owner, I can think of things that I would like to see in the city. Of course, we all could, but, from a business, there isn't anything that we want for us in particular to be able to get that question in better. I mean, everything just went well for us, so.
Hear that, Bill?
I did.
That was reported, right?
Yeah, that was recorded.
Maybe another way to build on your question is, as a business owner, and if you were to join the committee, what would you hope the committee would do to grow your business? Like, as a result of joining the committee and bringing that insight, is there a couple of, not necessarily specific things that get, but topic areas that you would say as a business owner, we have to drive X in order to improve my bottom line? What would that X look like for you?
I think it would be just exposure. I guess would be, you know, making sure that the community I know the community knows that we're here, but I think as a business owner in general, just making sure that, you know, when there is information that goes out or that's listed on the city, you know, site or pamphlets that are being made, anything that truly just gets the word out about businesses that we do have, I think would be of value.
Any specific challenges you met when starting your business here in North Plains that would get help at UBC? As we attract other businesses, so we can make them aware of or smooth those things out?
We didn't really. I know, I'm like, I don't know. We didn't really run into many issues. So, you know, I mean, our biggest challenges was making sure that we met city codes for certain things. But as far as the UBC, I would say, you know, anything that I can announce specifically. I mean, diversity is always going to be good. I think one opportunity is to have diversity, and I think, you know, you guys all know that. I think that's anything new. So as far as, you know, planning and things that, you know, you can do as far as people inquiring about your business, and, you know, I think it would be really awesome to have when these people approach, be like, oh my gosh, we don't have anything like that now. Or, you know.
Follow-up question to that one. You mentioned city codes was the biggest challenge. What resources were available to you as a new business that helps you kind of navigate those codes, know what you need to do to be compliant, and just be able to set up your business smoothly?
I contacted the city who gave me codes, and I very clearly read as far as like signage and, you know, things that were allowed. And I made sure to get with, you know, the owner of our building to make sure that we met all the codes. But we were very quickly given all of those via email, in which case I, you know, put through the paperwork for everything that we needed. So it was provided to us really easy. But that was, I mean, the one thing that sticks out is the signage. You know, that was to make sure that our big sign on the building was within, you know, the coding that we needed. And for new business owners, that stuff is a little bit foreign. So to have to then give it to our building owner and then to our sign company to make sure that everything fits within those guides. But again, we were given it right away and everything was good there, but it's only because it's foreign. You know?
Did you say that the grant process was easy? Was there anything that could be improved on that in that program?
That was pretty straightforward too. I mean, you guys did fantastic, you know, with it. It was a surprise to us, which was a huge blessing. And I think since it was new and we were the first business to get that, I think we were navigated through that really well. Is there something I would change about it now? I don't think so. Again, it was pretty straightforward. Everybody told us what were the next steps, what needed to happen, and by A type, so I'm like, A is done, check. You know, so to follow the steps with what you guys recommended or the grant program, yeah, it was pretty easy, and I would at this point recommend changes. Thank you.
There's a lot of that said here. Any other questions for us?
No, I'm not nearly as put together as I was talking over.
You know what else helps? Make that go and increase samples. Yeah. All right, we'll go to our third and final applicant on Zoom. Is it Anise?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there was some technical issues. However, seeing the liveliness of the meeting, I think that I should have joined physically with you.
No problem at all.
Confirm how you say your name. I'm not sure I heard it correctly.
My name is Anis Zaman. I go by Anis.
Okay, thank you.
So similar to the first three applicants, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief background as well as what interests you in volunteering to join the commission here.
Thank you. So, as I said, my name is Anis. So my preferred pronoun is him. And I moved in North Plains in 2022. And presently I am doing my PhD in public policy. So I'm the PhD candidate now. So I'll be done by next 1 year or so. And so I started living in this Bartlett Loop in North Plains. And I'm also not very old here. Like I moved to the USA in 2017 with my family. And since then we had been staying here in Oregon. Earlier we had been living in Hillsboro, then we moved to the North Plains last year. And the reason I want to join in the volunteer to the committee is that since we moved here, we like the way the city looks like. I understand it's a growing city. Is very rapidly is growing. So I felt that like with my experience working with some of the projects here in Oregon, like in last summer, I worked with the Happy Valley City Water Authority. They have like Sunrise Water Authority. I worked with them to develop their equity plan. So I was thinking from like that, using my experience and knowledge to help the committee to prepare or kind of contribute to achieve a equitable kind of business or economic policy here, so that that is more inclusive and kind of the community having more accessibility to the amenities or the business centers. So that's my aim to, that's really inspired me to apply for this for volunteering opportunity.
Question for you, as you think about the Economic Development Council, maybe the same question I asked David, why this committee versus Park and Rec and how we're growing that infrastructure, or city planning, where we're deciding the footprint of the city and how it looks? Why economic development?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you very much. When I saw the opportunity, I also saw the different committees, and I felt that this is the committee where I can contribute more from my experience, because before moving here, I worked with the United Nations for around 3 years, and I was stationed in Liberia. So I was saying, like, that country was also going through the rebuilding process, and I saw that the way the business development or the economic development planning mostly that impact the people mostly, like the communities. When, as I said, that I see the North Plains as a very rapidly growing city, so there is always some development going on in terms of business and the economy. So there is a need that to listen from the perspective, or kind of looking to the perspective and get the voice of the community, how those, there will be a need of the business and the economic development, but how that facilitate the community, how that accommodate the concern of the community, and how that kind of contribute to the community wellness. So from that perspective, I felt that, as I have seen outside the USA as well, while working with the city of Happy Valley for like water authority, I saw that the business need business institution and the economic policies sometimes that fail to accommodate the voices of the community, or kind of the community welfare, or the long-term impact on the community. So I want to contribute in that perspective, that with the growing economic activities, the city is not impacted and no harm happens to the community, rather community is facilitated with the economic development. So that's the reason I choose to join this committee.
Okay, I'm going to steal Chris's question.
Go for it.
All right, but I'm gonna ask them a little bit of a different way. If you could attract any kind of business to North Plains, what business would you choose? And maybe not just for you personally, but what do you think would be a great business for the economic development of North Plains?
Yeah, so as I moved here, the main challenge I'm facing as a community member is that accessing to the grocery or kind of the stores. So I would attract those kind of business that help the community in daily basis. Like, people need not to drive like to the Hillsborough or kind of Beaverton to do their grocery. So that will be my priority.
Well, let me do a follow-up. So how, that is for you and your family, but how would that help us as a community as well?
Yeah, so when I put myself in the community and I see from my own lens, and I also feel that it's not, I look around and I see that there is really lack of like the facilities for the grocery and daily need that we need to do buy. So like, it's not, my thought is that it's not me alone, it's the other member of the community. They are also facing the same challenge. I'm not very connected with a lot of the community here, but the community I live here, I talk with my neighbors, I talk with my friends, families here, but I see that many of them are facing the same kind of challenges.
I need to ask you the same question I asked Amy. So now I'd like you to put yourself in her shoes as a new business owner. And as you think about the economic development committee, what do you think what levers should we be looking to pull that would improve the bottom line of a new business that's starting out in North Plains?
So if I understood your question correctly, so if I try to start a new business, that's what you are asking?
As, quite a little clarification, as an economic development member, so if you were to join the committee,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about what we should be focused on in order to help a new business grow their bottom line?
Yeah, I think the main focus, as my understanding, is that to make the system easier for new business to start their business here. Like I was talking to some of the entrepreneurs, like why they don't come to the North Plains. So they had been saying that the land or kind of the place is costly, like the rent is costly. So I think that is one area, like if the city can do anything to kind of minimize that one, so that it creates a kind of level playing field, so that the new business can grow here and face less of financial challenges as a start at the beginning of their business.
Thank you.
Any questions for us from you?
Just one question that I like to ask you is that what is the form of like community engagement this committee plans? Like, is it during the monthly meeting or kind of any outreach program that the committee do to apprise the community about what is going on in terms of economic development?
So we will meet once a month, as we are here, where it lasts usually about an hour. And then on top of that, we are usually all involved in some type of subcommittee or a special advisory committee, project advisory committees and whatnot, for certain initiatives within the city. And then on top of that, we're mostly just ambassadors or liaisons between the city and new businesses, existing businesses. We've done some volunteering events and gotten out into the community, and I know that's one thing we want to do more of, is meeting existing business owners and picking their brains a bit more. But those are the main duties and responsibilities. In terms of required time commitments, it's pretty fluid. The absolute requirement is the monthly meetings, and then from there we expand and volunteer as needed. Did I capture that?
Yeah.
Spot on.
Maybe the only thing I would add is we have done in our early days a survey of business owners, and I think we're hopeful that new resources have been allocated to evolve the website of North Plains to allow us to contribute information that would make it easy for people to navigate. So that's our
Okay.
goal.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I don't have any other question. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate your time tonight, and thank you to all three applicants. We appreciate your time this evening. Ultimately, we, as a commission, don't have the final say. What we'll do is essentially recommend two candidates to city council, who will make the final decision and approval to add two members to our commission. And so I think the goal for this evening is to settle on two potential recommendations to city council. If there's any recommendations from the group or discussion.
And also, is there like, we all have terms that expire in different times.
Yes.
So there is a constant need for volunteers. in this community.
And other committees.
Yeah.
I will mention that if it's not a good fit or it doesn't work out for this commission in general or specific, in general, there's many opportunities out there to get involved, and we appreciate just the initiative. I know it takes a lot to apply, filling out the applications is a burden at times, and just being here and spending your evening with us. So we do appreciate that.
I'll go ahead and start, with our main focus being, we want a member that is a business owner within the city. I would make the recommendation that we move 80 forward to city council to be appointed. Be appointed to the EDC.
Yeah.
I do need a second.
I'll second that.
We need a unanimous approval.
In this case, yeah, you can do it that way, or you can do it just a consensus vote.
Okay.
Whichever you're more comfortable with, since you already have a move and a second, we can go with that if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm like, sorry, as a matter of business, to remind me, do we make the decision tonight or do we confer and make the recommendation different night?
You do make the decision tonight. It is your choice if you want them to stay while you discuss the applicants. I can tell you that most committees thank them for coming, and then and then we excuse you, and then I email all of the candidates tomorrow and let them know the decision that was decided.
Okay.
But it's up to you guys.
That's out of the bag for Amy. Okay, well, thank you for your time this evening.
Yeah.
So much.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And it is recorded, so.
That's true, it is, but
Yeah.
You can find it.
This is why I asked the question.
Uh,
This felt like I was back in elementary school waiting to get the dog.
yeah.
right, it's exactly, yeah.
No, I think
A question before we dive in. Did we go to, or the small business group, or, Chamber of Commerce and announce that this was a position? Okay.
Mike was there.
And
I wasn't at the last meeting, so I just wanted to make sure that we checked that box.
Mhm.
I believe we have explored all the avenues we wanted to. In terms of getting the word out there, it was on the
Right.
website.
It was in the newsletter, on the website. Flyers were posted in the three major places where we post all public notices, all meeting agendas, that kind of stuff. And then, yes, Michael attended. And actually, Bill, did you ever talk about EDC?
Well, I pointed at her from across the room.
Mike did.
Oh, Mike did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then you just went up to
Then later,
I don't know,
I'm
trees
sorry,
said,
I
wait,
thought, I just think
Wait,
it'd be
what?
perfect.
you got any? Maybe by going to her and.
Well, she was there and heard the message.
Oh, at chamber,
Yeah, she was there and heard that.
because I went. up
Now
there
that's
when we had
essentially down.
trees and said,
Well, that's bribery.
Yes. I don't think.
You call it bribery?
I don't-
You know,
think
I didn't
we're
offer.
gonna see, a pool of.
Willing candidates that just
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you for orienting.
I mean, I'd say between Anise and David, I feel like Anise is the better fit, only because of his experience, and it seemed like David. His past was a little around in different places, I don't know if. if he really was focused on necessarily this commission. It's like we were saying, there's some land use, some planning issues that he seemed to be interested in. Where I felt like Anise, with his experience at PQN and working with Happy Valley and all the other things, I feel like it's probably a better thing.
I think it was a little bit, I think both candidates kind of scattershot. I think one would be kind of an EDC, like what is EDC? And a lot of people like, you know, the whole policy question. I don't think any of us write policy, economic policy. So those things come up. And so I think both candidates are still kind of acclimating to what this is. Looking at the two, I'm actually on the opposite side. I think with David's background, he's both more coming from a place of business background, like he's been in the business world, he's been in Intel, he's been in that side. I didn't really hear a lot of that from Anise. I know there's the public side, but the public side, it was more, it seemed, I was even looking at the application, it was about policy, that's about those types of things. And so I think Anise, in my mind, would be more on the planning commission side. And I think that's where his strength would lie. Whereas with David and his background in business, the connection to Intel, we know that as we want to attract businesses, we don't want Intel, but we do want subs of them. And I think that's a easy in to say, hey, we need to attract a sub business that can feed Intel, that can create sustainable jobs out here that, build our economic vitality in the city. And so having that connection to essentially that industry that is so close to you would be helpful for us.
So now we are wrestling.
Yeah.
The rule.
But honestly, I mean, both are so strong candidates, there's really no wrong answer. I think honestly, the two of them bring so much knowledge to it. Like I can tell you, hearing them, they both have more knowledge on public policy and and so I'm just like, you can't really go wrong when you have two PhD candidates show up and want to be involved in an EDC. So it's more about, I think, what we as a committee should do, and this is kind of my thought on it, is whoever we decide not to go with, we need to make a continued effort to reach out to them and get them involved in another commission for the city.
And I say, Lori, are there any other openings right now?
As of yesterday, there is an opening on the Parks and Rec Board. That's the only opening right now.
There is an opening. I did text Stuart. There is an opening. They have one applicant for one opening with the planning commission.
Okay.
And they're gonna make that decision next week. So I don't know if there's a process whereby they close the
Yeah,
applications.
it's closed because they actually interviewed both of them, just at
Prior.
different meetings, and then one withdrew his application
Got it. Okay.
yesterday. And he was also on the Parks and Rec Board, and he
Thought that was the case, but
pulled back from that
Good.
as other commitments. So, so basically the planning commission seat will be filled next week with one of the applicants that still wants to be considered, and then the Parks and Rec, I'm just starting to post it publicly, so.
I don't think it can't go wrong.
Yeah, if it was David, yeah, I think David's super close on it. So if it was him, I'd be pleased.
Yeah,
Bill, do you have a perspective on their backgrounds? I was thinking almost the opposite, where David's background felt more like planning commission, given if it's engineering versus policy and application to economic development. So could you weigh in on their two diverse candidates? I want to come back to that though as a theme, and what you thought of their backgrounds.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Again, this is from my opinion is coming from what I've been dealing with at the city for months and a few years now, and that's UGB and economic development within that context. And I'm going to have to say my thinking lines up more closely with Chris's. The city's the thrust of the city's economic development efforts from UGB to what we'll be doing over the next few years is really about growing North Plains in a number of different ways, but certainly trying to keep our eyes on the ball regarding high tech and the Silicon Forest. And I see David and his background and familiarity and linkages there as being a valuable perspective that would help this body in that regard. But I'm also going to agree with pretty much everybody here that they're both PhDs who are trying to get on the commission. I mean, but I guess I would say there was a time a while back, and I forget his name, was it Muhammad who lives here, and he worked at Intel. He didn't stick around long enough for this body to get into those sorts of things. But you all are on the verge of that. And it's just my opinion that if the city really wants to grow with a focus on being part of the Silicon Forest and attracting those types of employers and understanding those workforce issues, you know, you as somebody in the workforce, David, why are you here, and what could North Plains do to keep keep being a place for educated workforce to come? Not that both of them couldn't chime in on that, but my perspective more has to do with having some perspective from high tech directly.
Moving back on to finish the rest of my thought is, I am surprised actually that we have not talked about, certainly across city council, maybe you haven't been interested in hearing it, but this committee, how we want representation in demographics of the committee that matches our community, and we are woefully
Well,
I don't understand. 23andMe says I'm 9% Native American.
So I am really pleased, I'm really pleased, and I would actually like to see a formal statement if we're not finished, that we try when given options. If this were a tie and that were the last major difference, it would push me over to say we just flat out need diversity so that we represent the people that we're serving in the community and the kinds of businesses they want to develop and what that economic growth may look like. So in this case,
DEI bylaw, essentially.
okay,
well,
I'm gonna
that,
throw in
that
under
is-
that.
doesn't apply to,
And based on,
that doesn't apply. That really doesn't apply. I think the idea we want is, yes, we don't want to do something for the sake of something. We want to do it because it's a good fit. And we do need to be representative of our community. We have a fair amount of nationalities that really do exist in our community now that didn't exist here 10 years ago. And that will only increase because of the proximity of places like Intel and the supporting industries, and certainly any industry we bring in. I mean, that's, I think, yes, I think the goal should be that, but for the sake of that, in my mind, I don't know that we've had any deep discussions about it, but for the sake of that, no, I think someone has to fit. I think you need to go based upon the qualifications. And if we have people that are qualified, we certainly shouldn't be passing them over. But for the sake of, you know, having more minority status on there, I don't think that's the right move.
I would.
You might disagree.
Thoughtful. I'm curious.
I agree, I think whenever possible. I mean, luckily, both of these guys do seem to represent the people that are moving. I mean, my neighborhood, I've got Fiji, Kenya, Spain, Ukraine. I mean, so I think, and luckily those two guys, and I think Amy is definitely a true being a small business owner. But I think luckily these two guys do touch that base.
I think the city needs to have a statement about representing the communities that they serve. And I would like to see this commission. Once again, I'd like us to lead where we think others should go. We might have the opportunity today with our bylaw. It's not, so I won't belabor it any longer because we have two non-white candidates that represent, who live many places I hope to live someday. So, I'll save the rest of my comments for our bylaw.
Do you have a preference between?
There's really good candidates.
They could put their name in a hat and pull it out, and we'd be lucky to have either of them. There, Lawson.
I
I don't know.
think my thoughts are are more so centered around similar to Bill's sentiment and Chris's earlier, just in terms of the, more business centric background and not even just business, but just, understanding how adjacent businesses do the community operate and the communities that feed into that business. How that, relationship, I guess, how that interaction goes, so. I don't really have.
Well, I think Chris and Bill have persuaded me. The same, a lot just based on where we are in the city right now. We're new, we're growing, there's a lot of, and we're trying to grow with the city. I think, yeah, in that case, David does feel like a better factor.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to recommend David to city council for appointment to the EDC.
I'll second that nomination.
For the sake of the group, any opposed to the nomination?
We're gonna still arm wrestle.
And then, well, I think that would take.
It is so powerful.
And then I like your idea of, encouraging, or at least trying to connect Anise with, Parks and Rec, or I doubt the planning commission still has the availability to take on an applicant, but at the very least, try to encourage that. Yeah, okay. Okay. Lori, any other, formalities we need to cover? In terms
No,
of
that-
our reg-
That covers it, and actually another thing that I do when there's like 3 applicants and two appointments, I do always let the third one know that we keep their application on file. Should there be, another vacancy within 3 to 6 months, we would contact them and see if they're still interested. Well, we're not gonna keep it obviously for a year,
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
and
It
then,
wouldn't hurt to establish a wait list. I mean, if we have it,
right,
even if you don't keep maybe the applications on file.
yeah, so I will let him know that. And at the same time, let him know that we do have an opening on the Parks Board,
Okay.
so.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, the unfinished business here this evening, we're gonna finalize the EDC bylaws. We're gonna discuss some of the questions that came up surrounding subcommittees. And then, our work plan in the next 12 months. The only thing before we dive in, it's now 7:09 PM. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time this evening. Are there topics that we would want to prioritize this evening? Bill, I don't know if you had anything that, for example, if we wanted to put the work plan to next month's meeting, or if that's something that we should prioritize, or if the bylaws need to be completed by a certain time.
Chair Lawson, second part first, I'm unaware of any timeline, strict timeline we have that you all have for sending a bylaws to city council for approval for you. Certainly having that done sooner rather than later is better. And I think that, it's a priority, but it's not do or die tonight is how I would put it. Regarding work plan, that would be your next recommended big project. Well, not big project, but that's something I want. I honestly didn't figure you'd get into detail tonight, given your agenda. And I was actually planning on bringing or kind of giving you all some material, starting with your roadmap. And again, with the whole point being 2 things. Number one, you all should have a pretty good idea 3 to 4 months out what your agendas are going to be, and and updating your work plan. That's a big piece of it. It shouldn't be month to month, you all reacting or coming up with things kind of on short order. You should kind of map things out. And then regarding your bylaws, you all in your draft bylaws right now have a kind of a specific section about subcommittees. Okay, I honestly, I think for this body, maybe what they should be called are work groups. And I'll just quickly answer the question. I did some digging on some things for the city attorney today, and my quid pro quo was a quick answer to the question: would EDC subcommittees have an issue with public meetings, rules, or anything if they had subcommittees or work groups that had no more than 3 members? And he said, nope, there shouldn't be any problem with any subcommittee or work group as long as no more than 3 members. That's less than a quorum of the full body. And further, you really shouldn't, if you get together as a work group or a subcommittee, it really should be about working on something or touring a property. Don't get together and discuss how you all want to group together and vote on something as a full body. Don't do that. But to get together and kind of actually work on something, that's okay.
I guess I'll just quickly open it up. Are other topics you want to dive into this evening, or would we prefer to push the bylaw discussion and the work plan to the March full, dedicate an hour to potentially those 2 topics?
I would actually recommend if we push them, we plan for an hour and a half. I think both topics warrant the time, and so if we are gonna push it, let's push it and plan.
Can I also ask, is there some prep that we should do in terms of, for the next 12 months before we come next month?
My answer to that is I don't know that you need to map out 12 months. I think you all should, with a work plan, kind of have a good idea of you want to, on a rolling basis, know where your 3 months outlook is, I guess, is what I would recommend. Topics are going to come up. But I guess I just don't want you all falling in, kind of going month to month and not kind of having a clear idea of where you're going with things. And then with your work groups, like, you don't have to have the whole body consider all these different topics. You can have your work group dive into something and then update the full body on where things are, that sort of thing. And then that simplifies things also.
Topics for an orientation, what are our bylaws, what do we plan to do? I would hope for that great way to step into this group.
Will that on the plan too? Will the new members be joining us in March?
They will.
Okay.
They will be approved by council at the Tuesday, what is that? Whatever day that is after President's Day.
First, I think.
Yeah, they'll be approved, so they will be ready for your March meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. I would agree, that's another benefit.
20.
So we can, that's. Yes, yeah, I would much rather spend the time getting to know and vetting potential candidates than rushing that process. At least. Okay, and I think we're all in agreement, then we'll go ahead and focus on the EDC bylaw finalization and the work plan for the next 12 months during the March meeting.
It's exactly what you asked for. Plan next month's meeting at the end of this meeting.
That's what I'm talking about. I forgot to clarify to the potential commission members that despite our best efforts, this is you're not compensated for our effort. Maybe the volunteer position, but they're aware. Any other topics or go-backs then? Do we want to, to Chris's point, do we want to extend next month to an hour and a half? Is that doable? Yeah. Okay. We'll go ahead and do that as well, but.
So all 3 of the topics,
Well,
finished or pushing to March
The subcommittee discussion, I think,
was kind of
was
discovered.
covered. I think
Okay,
we're received our insight on
right.
what we can do.
Okay.
Your working group.
So the bylaws and the work plan
Yeah,
for
yeah.
March.
And I would alter the work plan to
to Bill's point, I'd say the 3 to 4 month plan, so that way it's not.
Quarterly.
Yeah, like a quarterly plan, so that way we are more focused and not like 6 months from now, we're gonna focus on this, like, I don't know what I'm doing a month from now, so.
We have time for you to get-
I can give a short, sweet version. Okay. The UGB expansion process is on, okay. We're at the city is at the second of 3 steps under Oregon state law for UGB expansion approval. The city adopted ordinance in September, drawing a new line on the map. It's now at the second stage, and that's the county. And because of the referendum that is on the ballot in May regarding the city's UGB, the county has paused the review process until June or July after the election results are certified. So the update is there's a pause. There's a pause.
Ex officio, Councilor Sheldon, thank you for being here. Any other wisdom you can impart on us before we depart?
Well, I think I'm just gonna echo what I said before, part of your plans going forward in this year. I think it's imperative that this body has an outreach event with the chamber that can be partnered. We can have, we did have a plan. I can actually even come and present that plan at one of those meetings. To refresh folks or get them acquainted with what our plan was. It was organized with the city. It didn't happen. We had some changes in management. And so we've essentially shelved that, but it can be put together, and we can have Cindy Hurst help us with, organizing what we need to do with the people we need to contact to actually execute that plan. But the framework is simply spending a half day, finding a day where people can contribute time and have representatives from the EDC, from the chamber, from the city, visit a number of businesses. We would be essentially calling these people ahead of time and scheduling appointments and setting up that for some success. So we can get in front of them for 3 questions, and we can listen and bring the feedback back to both the chamber and the EDC. And then I think that helps get some direction on the mood, the feeling, the pulse, and what's going on in the current business climate. And we obviously know we need some additional lands before we can grow too much more business, but there's opportunities there. And I think that's something that I just think that this body should be part of. So the chamber can go forward without it, but I think in a partnership form, to me, is a much more valuable piece. And I think it'll be a learning experience for some of the EDC members as well. When you're in front of somebody that's operating a business. And then the other thing I was going to mention is, and this might be a more acute topic, but I did hear some rumblings that there's some issues with the cards, the pod cards, and the county health department, the jurisdictions. I'm not sure what that pertains to. I haven't reached out and asked for that, but I was thinking, we might want to think about, is there remaining dollars in our basic funds to help upstarts, and how can that maybe help some of those folks? We have one there now. I think he needs some help.
There's another one coming in next week.
Okay, and so I know they're coming, but those are things I think we need to at least look into. Where are the barriers? How do we help fix those barriers? We don't run the health department. The county does that, but I've heard there's double standards. There's standards for the county and there's standards for Hillsborough. And it, to me, is a lot of nonsense, but I don't know what those things are. But it's perhaps not the EDC to look into it, but I think the whole piece of the incentivizing those people, maybe you should consider if there's some funds left, how can you help facilitate that and get those things launched? That's pretty much, that's it for me.
Thanks for that insight. I wasn't aware of some of those challenges too. So. Bill, anything for the group?
No, so, and just to kind of get back to the question of work plan, you will get before the next meeting, well in advance, your most recent version of your economic development roadmap. So all kind of the major city economic development initiatives. There's going to need to be an update because there's been a lot done and accomplished, frankly. But that'll be the starting point, and you'll get all of those well ahead of time so that you can review them and be ready to kind of jump in.
Last but not least, Lori, we're good here.
No, I don't think so,
Actually,
unless somebody wants to bring treats again.
Chair Lawson, there is one thing. Again, not to kind of schedule March necessarily, but we will probably, I guess, there will be an opportunity to have the former state of Oregon lead business recruitment agent for Business Oregon. She's no longer with the state, but she comes in kind of council cities who are kind of looking to do new business, expansion, retention, attraction efforts. So keep that in mind as for the agenda for the next couple of months, that if she, we'll work with her. She's interested in helping us during the UGB pause, but she's very open and happy to come and kind of talk about business attraction and expansion issues and how North Plains can be competitive and things it can do actively.
In that same meeting, actually just met with 3 people from Business Oregon last week. It'd be really nice if we could get some of their finance team in here as well, because they have lending programs directly from the state for businesses. And a lot of times it's, as a banker, I'll say, it's for folks that have trouble getting loans through a bank that are like startup businesses. And so it'd be really good to have them come in and talk about some of those finance programs that are available for startup businesses. And that way we know about them and we can start making it anywhere. That's all I need to know.
I'll make one more comment that I forgot. And that is, I'd like to see usually when we have a ribbon cutting in the chamber, at least the chambers put on, we put on most of it. I'd like to see at least a representative from this body at those. And I'm not sure anybody's getting copied on that.
No.
So I'll make sure that happens.
If I could get copied, then I can get it. out
Okay,
there.
that we can solve that, because I think it's good to have a face. It doesn't have to be everybody. If you wanted to take turns, I think, we introduce the committee, we introduce any dignitaries that might come. And but it's a good celebration. It's a good way to, it's an uplifting thing to have, and then we can report on it. And that's something that I think we can make sure we coordinate with the EDC, with the city side, because I know we're going to a new website, and we can have some of those things that are fresh, and people can look at the fact that we're actually doing something here.
Yeah.
Because you're pretty active and we want you to be that way. It's a very essential part of our community. So I think we need to brag it up a bit.
Can you hold the giant scissors?
We have,
I think we have insurance for that.
Go ahead and adjourn this meeting here at 7:25 PM.
Thank you. At least one more.